Oh man, we're on stream, so I immediately ducked out of the frame.
That's okay. Refresh.
I thought you said, let's start this dream. How does that go?
This is the dream. Is it not?
Dream Weaver, I believe it can get me through the night.
That's a way to start a stream.
It sure is. Hey, welcome, YouTube.
Welcome.
Hey, we know we're streaming. We're doing the live stream thing.
We knew that.
Let's see.
Dream of the stream.
Stream.
Yeah.
Stream.
By the way, Jesse, it was the same. It was the same page for the stream.
Oh, yeah.
I just seen that message. I just wanted to actually share this. Share.
Oh, yeah, because no one will know we're doing anything.
Right.
We don't tell them. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
It's a pretty weird time for us to be doing anything.
It's true. So if you're on YouTube, maybe you got a notification. And if you didn't, man, you got to smash that bell. Everybody says it. Why don't you do it? Like peer pressure, man. Like, subscribe, smash that notification bell.
That's right. Slap a Grawlix on it.
Yeah, slap a Grawlix on that bell. That's right. I mean, we're gonna get into what we've been listening to, but I've been listening to this like Nebraska public media podcast called like Centered Ground or something, and they were like, it's pretty fun. It's like a punk rock thing for Nebraska, like skate parks and stuff.
Oh,
and what's it called? Center of Gravity. That's what it's called. A Plain Story podcast, and it's it's about like the skate scene in Nebraska, or at least people who kind of came out of the skate scene in Nebraska and then went on and did big things. And I was listening to it for the zine episode. They have a zine episode in there. And anyways, this is all much ado about nothing, except that at the beginning of their podcast, they say, we use a lot of words that you may not want your kids to use or know about yet. So this is your Tipper Gore moment. We're like, oh, that's fun. That's like slapping a Grawlix on it, only a little more angsty, a little more political.
Well, that's cool. I didn't know there was is there a big skate scene in Nebraska then?
I mean, it's, it's there. It's prevalent. It's mostly in Omaha and Lincoln because those are the urban centers, right? So yeah, it's interesting. Like listening to the episodes, I listened to a couple more after the zine episode just because it was like, oh, this is pretty well produced and kind of interesting and whatnot. And it's like, this guy came from South O, this guy came from North O, that kind of stuff. And then they went on to have some, success in the skate scene, which inevitably meant that they went to like California for a while. So it's like they started in Nebraska, but like where can you really skate of repute here,
Right. Okay. Let's do this. I don't remember how Lunchbox lives start. Welcome to Grawlix Podcast, Lunchbox Live.
Ooh.
I'm Randy.
I'm Melanie.
And I'm Jesse.
I have a squeaky chair. I really should have WD-40'd this thing.
I have a creaky chair.
I'm not hearing it. That's good.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I see it, but I'm not going to do it right now.
That's quality live streaming right there.
Yeah.
Well, it's too late. We're in it. We're in it. We're in the game.
We're not going to lube your tube. Wait, what?
That sounds dirty. So here's what's on the agenda. God, we're streaming midday, by the way. Yes. I say that like somebody commented that. They didn't. I was just commenting on it myself. We're streaming midday. Why not? A founder. Okay.
Don't worry. You're not misremembering. When we used to do the Lunchbox live, it was all audio, and it was all on Castbox. Did we do a video version of the Lunchbox live?
We
post,
did
like a post-mortem.
I think we did do some Facebook lives at about the same time. I don't remember why we moved over to Facebook, but we did.
I think Castbox.
It's because our Castbox money ran out.
Yeah, I was gonna say they stopped paying us and instead wanted us to pay them, and we were like, no.
I don't know what you guys are talking about. Never received any money from Castbox.
Oh, is there an NDA involved there? Whoops.
I don't know. I don't know if it was so much. It was more of a oral agreement than a paper agreement, I think. But well, and it was glitchy. Like I do remember having a lot of trouble. Like they had a lot of growing pains. I don't think that I could be wrong, but I feel like that functionality is not there. I think Castbox is still around. I'm surprised. I'm glad, I suppose, but
it was definitely the easiest.
Anybody that's not Spotify.
yeah, right. Well, Castbox must not have been all that successful, or else Spotify would have bought them and then a year later closed them down.
Right.
Spotify's like the big gaming developer of the audio world.
Yeah.
And just buy up all these like decent little companies and then eventually shutter them.
Right. Too bad they couldn't have bought that one good music place before Google did and then did nothing with it.
Pandora?
No, it wasn't Pandora. I can't remember what it was called.
Oh.
But they were like the only people who ever got me.
Yeah.
Their algorithm or whatever, you know?
Right. Yeah. What was that other one? There was another place that was like Pandora, but not.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember what it was offhand.
Yeah, me either.
This is fascinating. Here's what we're talking. Here's what we're talking about. The Doctor Who finale, for one.
Yeah.
Which is, we didn't want to. Okay, so we're not going to be streaming this Thursday. Tomorrow, we're not going to be streaming most likely next week because we're going to be actually recording a show with the middle-aged movie review guys with classic old school long-time Grawlix listener Maddie McDoubleD's.
You still call him that?
I shouldn't.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's sexual harassment. I need to stop it.
Super Grawlix super friend.
Grawlix super friend Maddie D. His podcast's still going strong. Middle-aged movie reviews, and yeah, we're gonna be guests on an upcoming show, which is probably something I shouldn't mention until we actually record it and it's done and in concrete. But that's gonna happen eventually, anyways, for sure. So, and Jesse's like, well, that would make like 3 weeks we don't do any Grawlix streams. And I was like, oh yeah. Plus we got to talk about Doctor Who. We haven't talked about the finale yet.
That's right.
Everybody's probably all finale'd out on it. There was a lot of discourse.
Oh man.
At least that I saw. There's a lot of discourse around
There's
it.
like a whole lot of hubbub and like everybody's gotten mad and they gotten over it. Maybe they haven't gotten over it. I don't know.
Seems like Disney's over it. That's the concern, right?
Oh yeah. Well, but they're still in midst of talking about a new deal, though. Right?
That's good.
Old deal's totally expired. Is that what it is?
Right. Yeah. From my understanding, is Disney was dragging their feet on the third. Like they'd committed to 2, and they're like, well, and then we'll see about a third. And it seems like a lot of trouble spawned from the fact that Disney was maybe dragging their feet. Mm-hmm. Might have caused plans to change for the end of season 2 and whatever might have been season 3.
Yeah,
that's the rumors.
Might have changed up some some casting.
Nobody major though, right? Nobody like pivotal to the show.
No, why would they? That's weird.
So we'll get into that shortly. We also, because we're finger on the pulse, we're always on top of things. Captain America: Brave New World. We finally all watched that, so I figure we'll talk about that. That's
Yep.
You know what? That wasn't even popular to talk about when it came out. So
yeah, no, like it was kind of a not a blip on many people's radars.
No,
really, it wasn't even a blip on like the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Right.
It's like, listen, this really was relevant to what Universal was doing with a Marvel property.
Right. Yeah, its existence is maybe more interesting than really the plot or anything that happened in the.
Yeah.
I have things to say though.
Okay, good. Well, excuse me. How about this? That's what we're doing today. But first, how are you two doing?
Hey, doing it as a Lunchbox Live. It feels like most people's morning show, like where like we are waking up. Wait, that's not how morning show works.
She was no. She probably got the least sleep. I don't know about you, Jesse, actually, but she probably got the least sleep of us, and she was sleeping till afternoon.
Oh man.
I woke up at noon, so this is my morning show. I don't know how morning show people do it. I couldn't do it.
I had to get up, take the dog in because he goes in at like 8. So I had to get up at 7, which I went to bed on time for that.
You also operate. You have normal human hours.
Well, I had to this morning anyways.
Yeah.
But we did just get back from like a trip to Wisconsin. So, I mean, like, granted, that was like 2.5 days ago or whatever, but I'm still, like, that's a long drive. That's like a 9-hour drive. It's ridiculous.
No, I'm not trying to look at you. I don't like to be so low in the frame. I'm particular about my framing and I'm not really doing it, but that's okay.
Randy was framed.
Yeah. But not very well. So
yeah.
That's fine. So you went to Wisconsin. Yeah, I didn't ask. Yep. I was going to ask about that. I didn't get a chance to ask about that. Nice time, nice wedding, right?
Yeah,
you went up there to see a
wedding. What? It was surprisingly fun. Like when I think like, man, I'm going to Wisconsin, and then I hit my mic. Like that doesn't like fill me with excitement. Like, okay, we're gonna drive 9 hours, and then when we get there, it'll be Wisconsin.
Right.
Like that's not, like not the kind of thing I just get pumped about. But like getting there, it was like, man, Wisconsin's kind of rad. It's kind of like Nebraska, only with a lot more going on. Like. I don't know. I was just surprised. We went to Appleton, Wisconsin, and like Appleton's not even Madison. It's not even Milwaukee. It's not even Green Bay, and yet it's kind of a thriving little area. And I was shocked by how many independent like stores and companies and things there are there. That like it just seems like. Yeah, there's some of that in Fremont and in Omaha and in Lincoln, but in Nebraska, you see an awful lot of chain, a lot of chain places get popped up all over the place. And that's not to say that they didn't have everything that you'd expect to find. Like it's like, oh, I'd really like to go to Applebee's. Well, you can find an Applebee's, sure. Oh, I'd really like to go to Freddy's and get my steak burger. Oh, sure, you can find a Freddy's, whatever. But there was a lot of just like mom and pop shops or established mom and pop shops. So they weren't like, like in fear of having to go under or anything. So
right.
I was kind of surprised, but kind of fun.
Yeah, that not to say there aren't like mom and pop shops in like Omaha, But it really is endless, like franchise stores and chains
Mhm.
everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I have great Wisconsin experiences in my past because first, that's where my fever dream place was, the something in the rock, castle in the rock, or whatever. I told you about it before, where it was like just a bunch of weird, like a carousel of baby dolls and like just
Oh,
random strange stuff. Because it was an artist, like bought a half of a mountain or something, in the infinity room that like seemed like it went on forever. And I almost didn't believe it existed. I thought it was like a dream, but it actually is there. So that's one thing. And then the other is I went with my friend she went to a wedding also, but I didn't realize that in my GPS I had it set to avoid toll roads, which going through Wisconsin means you get to take a lot of strange back roads that most people don't use. So that was an adventure.
There's a place called Mount Horeb. I saw it on the way back, and it's got like this troll theme. And was like, man, I am really just I'm just tempted to stop, and I would stop, except that I stopped in, like in Appleton. Also, we've had him on well, he's kind of chimed in on the show before in the chat before. Bad Gamer Elite. He's one of my friends from TikTok. He lives in Appleton, so I met up with him on Sunday, which was the day I had to come back, and so that actually slowed me down getting home. But if I hadn't probably met with him, I probably would have stopped in to Mount Horeb to find out what this troll thing was about. It was like, there's just a random town in the middle of Wisconsin that's all about trolls. What?
right. I didn't really do anything. I don't really. What if I don't even want? What do I do? Oh, I know what I've been watching. I've been watching Dropout stuff, like nonstop. So
he watches
nonstop.
It shows up in my feed, like.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah,
the phone hears it, and it was just like, "Oh, you need some Brendan Lee Mulligan in your life." Here he is.
She's even getting Sam Reich in her feed.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. Well, yeah, he's a delight. He's been here the whole time.
Yeah. Right. By the way, it took me a little bit to warm up to Game Changers. That show is insane.
It is. It's so crazy.
Like the earlier seasons are pretty straightforward, and as it goes, it just becomes more and more unhinged and wild.
Well, the premise has got to lead itself to some really strange places, because like after a while it's like, how can we be a game changer unless we change the game every single time, right? So like they'll just like come up with the weirdest stuff, and like right now they have a shirt in their store that is just 2 jet skis, and it's a shirt for the guy that bought 2 jet skis off of Craigslist, because that was how you got the points that day, was buying the weirdest stuff off of Craigslist.
Did you watch that one? 1 year later, have you seen that?
No, I've just seen like parts of it.
Oh man, season 7. I think it starts at season 6. At some point, the Sam Reich even said like he was running out of his like improv gimmicks, and so they've had to get more. Think more outside the box with the show. Season 6 and season 7, and season 7 it really is off the rails. The show's wild, like they like super meta. So that episode 1 year later starts with, at the beginning they clearly recorded it during season 6, and he gave the contestants a sheet with a bunch of tasks, and he's like, you have 1 year to complete these, and then it cuts to a year later, and that's the whole episode, and it's the most like involved. It's an hour long solid like episode. It's so involved and ridiculous.
Like entire musicals were written.
Yeah.
Oh man,
it's a lot of fun. It's interesting because you'll watch like the earlier seasons, like 20 maybe 30 minutes, and then season like 6 and 7 there's like 3-parters, each episode's 45 minutes to an hour, and it's like, oh, you couldn't wrangle that concept down any smaller, huh?
Yeah.
But
I think we were talking about it offline or off of camera at one point. Or maybe it was in the chat, I don't know. But like one of my favorite episodes is the episode where it's got Brennan Lee Mulligan. I might have Ali Beardsley and Zach Oyama too. And it's like the premise is to be as second place as possible.
yeah. Yep.
And Brennan's just not having it. Like he just can't wrap his head around it. And then he winds up winning because the other two are tied for first. So at the end of the game, you're supposed to be in second place. So he wins.
It's one of those
like a speech and stuff. He's like just going off the rails.
Anytime after a certain point, anytime they have him on a game changer, usually the whole premise of the game changer is just something to screw with Brennan Lee Mulligan because they know like he's competitive and yeah. He gets very irritated.
It's the very first episode on the Dropout service. He's like, there is no lie. There is no.
yeah. And then, of course, Dimension 20 stuff, but we don't have to get into that. Melanie doesn't care. Nobody. It's interesting talking, although it's not any different than talking about streaming TV shows, but it is interesting because it's like most of that Dropout stuff is paywalled. Like you could see snips of it. I mean, there's clips of everything on YouTube, but most of like the full episodes are paywalled. So it's kind of like people aren't really going to know what you're talking about, but maybe they are. I don't know. I don't know like how big their viewership is. Obviously, it's large enough. It seems pretty large at this point, but
well, they're selling out huge venues like Madison Square Garden and the Hollywood Bowl. I don't know if they've sold that out yet, but like if they sold out MSG, it's kind of likely.
Right. Anyway, so that's kind of mostly what I've been watching myself.
Yeah, that's the main thing I've been watching. That and yeah, no, that's it. That's everything.
Right. Other than the stuff I watched for the show.
I did get a copy of Mouse or Mouse Book 2 in Wisconsin at one of the bookstores that was like indie, so that's a thing, but I didn't really read that because I've already read that. For the Grawlix podcast, I might add, as one of our poll list picks.
If you didn't read books like the one that's behind that, maybe you wouldn't have the fears that you have, by the way.
Right. Well, I mean,
Nasty Gnomes. No, I got that one because it's an echo chamber kind of thing where it like just reinforces my already negative bias.
Right.
Well, I mean, yeah, that if everybody read that book, we might not have the worries we have now.
Oh, Mouse?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But because we've read that book, we have the worries we have now. Because not enough people.
Fair. Yeah.
We're not political, so
there should be riots.
There should be riots.
And of course, they're going to use those riots to justify terrible things, but you know what?
They already have.
Yeah.
Some people getting sued.
That's how I've been signing off Edge of the Abysses with there should be riots. You should be rioting for the last several weeks.
I don't disagree. For one reason or another, you should be rioting.
Should be.
I don't care which side you're on. You're probably mad about it.
Right. Anyway, so just don't riot when like a rich con man tells you to do it. He doesn't have your best interests at heart. Anyway, so well, let's jump into one of these topics. Do we want to start with Doctor Who, or do we want to talk about Captain America: Brave New World? Which, by the way,
talk about the one we don't care about. I would say let's start with the one we don't care about. And Melanie has things to say. Let's do it.
All right. So Doctor Who. No, I'm kidding. By the way, Captain America: Brave New World is not, I feel, a good title.
No.
No, it's a terrible title, and it cites a really good book. So like, no, never do that. Just don't.
Yeah.
So we watched it. Well, Melanie, what did you think of this movie? Also, I'm pretty sure you had no interest in watching this. I was just like, hey, let's watch this movie because Jesse mentioned it. So we'll talk about it on Grawlix.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
And
Oh, yeah.
then I still, you haven't seen it, have no interest in watching it. But there are some observations that I made. One is that what's his name? I know his name. Harrison Ford.
Harrison Ford?
Harrison Ford seems like a buff enough old guy to pull off a Hulk. And so that's good.
Yeah.
And Liv Tyler doesn't age. And then what's that one lady's name? I can't remember her name now. I thought I had it. But the little Black Widow chick.
Right.
She reminds me of the lady, like she's a young version of this lady that we all know. She's in lots of things, but I can't remember her name anymore. And now I gotta look her up. I need to see her career path ahead of her.
Yeah, the fully grown 12-year-old woman was an interesting casting decision. Which is probably rude to say, but she knows what she looks like.
Yeah.
She's very small.
Yeah, she is.
And she's Sabra, and she's got like powers, and she's a mutant in the Marvel universe, but in this she was just the Black Widow.
Right.
Maybe she's not aware of her powers yet or something.
Maybe we weren't aware of adamantium until now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was like, oh, they can make Wolverines now. Mm-hmm. There is an amusing line about how adamantium is even more indestructible than vibranium, and I was like, even more indestructible? Like, I feel like once you achieve indestructible, but okay.
Right. Yeah.
It's indestructible, but it can't do all kinds of cool electronic stuff, though, huh?
It can't save you from. Can it save you from a full-on a Hulk punch?
I think so, because the
right,
isn't it?
Well, but that's the vibranium can.
Oh, that's vibranium.
I think so.
Yeah. It can absorb stuff, and then like that's why what Sam's wings could like channel stuff back as like almost like a blast wave almost.
Right.
Because Sam's like just a dude, so like they had to have him. Yeah,
is he just a dude? I don't know if they mention it. I don't know if they mention he's just a dude ever.
Right. Yeah, this is a weird movie because it's more plot-wise, it's more of a sequel to the Hulk movie from almost 20 years ago.
Right.
Which is an interesting decision. Obviously, they had to recast some parts, but made some of the people still appear. I didn't hate that aspect of it. I feel a little bit like I felt about what was it? Falcon and Winter Soldier or whatever the show was.
Right. It's like a sequel to those two things. It's like a sequel to Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So it carries a lot of that vibe, which was fine, but not huge. You know, like not the best of the MCU shows by any stretch. So it continues that. And then it also continues The Incredible Hulk, which was so good that there hasn't been another solo Hulk movie since.
Right. Oh. And then they tied in Eternals because they're like, well, maybe it's kind of a tying up loose ends that nobody was like asking about.
Right. This could have been another MCU Disney Plus show, but I feel like Kevin Feige's like, these aren't working as well as we thought they would. Let's just make a movie. Let's make them pay for it a couple times.
It does. No, you're right. It does feel like there's a version of this that was just like a 5-episode miniseries or something.
Yeah.
And it's not like there's not action sequences, but I'm sure they spent lots of money on this, but I don't know. It's just got that look though. It's just got that generic. That was kind of my problem with it's kind of amazing most of the Captain America movies avoided this, but it's the thing that I didn't care for that much about the series. It's like it's just a generic like kind of army thing, but not even really that. You know, There's government stuff, and Bucky's running for Congress or something in his one little cameo sequence.
That was weird. And where was that? Where'd that come from? Did he decide that at the end of the show? I don't remember that.
I don't think so. Not that I recall.
I feel like I missed something, Like, did that happen in the Hawkeye show? Like, what? When did this happen?
They probably stuck it in somewhere where in the place where the hands came up and that they're about to go in mine, because nobody remembers that happening.
Oh, from the Eternals, yeah.
Oh yeah.
That matte painting appearing in the world.
That matte painting. Those matte paintings appear. We gotta mine it for adamantium in that matte painting.
Yep.
Yeah, they really didn't do a very good job of like crossing all the T's and dotting the I's on their CGI and their matte painting, because it was pretty obvious when it happened.
The plot was serviceable enough in that it kept me interested enough. I kind of feel like
a popcorn movie.
Right. The Captain America fight scenes are kind of bland. And especially that like action scene that it opened with, I was just like, this ain't doing it for me. Like, this is just like, okay, he's got wings, but he can also make the shield bounce back and forth. Cool. We've seen it.
Right.
Yeah, and there was quite a bit of the guys like dancing around in the background, waiting their turn to get hit,
Right.
Oh yeah. It was like, oh, it's my turn.
I do like the Brainiac guy. I know that's not his name.
The leader. Well, they didn't even use his name. They just used his name.
Right.
They didn't use his comic book name. They just used his name.
I like him.
All I could think was like, did they? At first, I was like, is it the Calculator? But I was like, oh no, the Calculator's DC Comics, isn't he?
You start getting down to the Calculator,
right?
Yeah. I don't know, man. The stapler. The Calculator makes sense though.
Well, we spitting numbers, So I was just like, who's this? The Calculator? And then I saw him and I was like, oh yeah, it's the leader. Which is, I mean, I was kind of surprised and delighted to see him, but yeah, I've already said it off camera, but like the best and worst I can say about this movie is that it is like in the vein of comic books. This is like that issue of Spider-Man that kind of is either a crossover or a one-off or whatever, where a Daredevil bad guy shows up and Spidey just dispatches them or whatever, or a Hulk villain just shows up and is like, well, I guess this is who I'm fighting today. It has nothing to do with what I was doing last month. It has nothing to do with what I'm going to do next month, but I got to take care of this right now. And that's kind of what this feels like, because it is like the sequel of sequels. It's like, well, we needed a Captain America sequel. We needed to do something with the Hulk so that we could retain the rights to it. And then we needed to do something with the Eternals, because we're still losing money on that one.
Right. I didn't hate it, but it is very forgettable. Mm-hmm. And it's one of those movies where like there's certain aspects where like the public opinion kind of turned on Marvel, where I was just like, no, I'm fine with it. Like when they were still doing weird stuff, like that last Doctor Strange movie that Sam Raimi did was basically a Sam Raimi movie. And I was like, yeah, do that. Just get real weird with it. I'm good with that.
Sure.
but public opinion had already kind of turned. But this is one of those movies, or even that last Ant-Man, which I didn't really care for, but I was like, it's bizarre enough. It should be entertaining to some people. But I think they pushed the weird too far in that one. Anyway, this is one of those movies where I'm like, okay, I get it, because it's just kind of like a, here it is, here you go.
Mhm.
We didn't try too hard, but
We had to move the plot along.
it's kind of like Black Widow. It's like bare minimum at the wrong time. Like you took too long and you didn't put in
Yeah.
enough effort.
Yeah.
And it's just okay. I don't know. I'm
Yeah, and there was things about Black Widow I liked, but there was a lot of stuff I didn't need.
I'm really surprised that, like, especially like this one. This was one they were like, why is it losing money, or why is it not whatever doing gangbusters? And it's like, really?
Right.
Did you watch it?
We told him it was Marvel.
Yeah.
Right. I think once they were like, Disney maybe started to struggle once they couldn't just rest on it being a Marvel movie, and that's going to move a lot of tickets. But
They were like, "This is our new Pixar. Anything that we do will make money." And it's like, yeah, but Pixar is not doing that anymore, and neither is Marvel.
and the like deep cuts that they pulled from, I think work sometimes in the like it hits the nostalgia, but like you're doing deep cuts to either movies a lot of people didn't see, like the Eternals,
Yeah.
or movies that have been I would reckon a lot of people didn't even realize we're in this MCU still, you know.
Yeah, because they'd never really like codified that and said yes for sure. Because even the Abomination looks different than the Abomination that was in that movie.
Right.
And if you didn't watch She-Hulk, then you don't know that Tim Roth is still the Abomination at all.
Right.
Mhm.
I was thinking about that while watching that. I was like, are they going to bring him in it? Because he's already been kicking around. I know She-Hulk's like Deadpool-esque in like, how much of this is reality? You know, how much of this is canon?
Right.
But if you hadn't watched the Falcon and Winter Soldier or whatever show, I feel like you'd be lost on a lot of this.
Oh, yeah.
Like the older guy, they kind of throw out some like exposition about like he was in prison before and blah blah blah. But it's like, if you hadn't watched the show, like I liked that the older guy was there. I was like, oh yeah, that guy, he's great.
Yeah.
But if you hadn't watched the
Yeah.
show, like who's this guy?
Mhm.
Yeah. They tried to put so much into this. Like there was just like so many subplots where it's like, oh, he's a Manchurian candidate. A lot of these guys are. And then we're just going to drop that and run with the leader because the leader's the guy who did it. And then, but the real thing is that the leader made a Hulk. And it's just like, just throw subplots on there. And like the Hulk wants to get all the adamantium for the world. And he's really got to pass some policy in his first 100 days or else his daughter won't talk to him. What is this movie?
Yeah, that was his whole thing. That was his whole motivation. Also, I know he turned into a Hulk, but when his Secret Service agent started shooting him, I was like, he's still the president. Like, you're supposed to like throw yourself instead of in front of bullets for him. I
Mhm.
maybe run away, but like then to actively be firing upon him seems a little weird. Secret Service agents.
And this is the most public Hulk transformation of all time. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to understand that what makes him the Hulk is anger. So shooting at him has always worked.
Right.
Well, they might just be like, hey, he told us to shoot at him last time, so that's what we should do this time too. Because isn't he the one that hunted down the Hulk in the other movie?
Yeah, the general,
Yeah,
whatever. Yeah. You might be right. That's true.
Yeah.
But he shaved his mustache. He's basically a completely different man.
Well,
He's literally a completely different man.
He's absolutely a different man.
I do appreciate it because they had to recast because the other guy, I believe, passed away.
mhm.
But I do appreciate, like, he looks so different. He's like, oh, I got rid of the mustache. And it's like, that's it. That's the explanation. I was like, okay, that's fine. Like, acknowledge it with
Yeah.
the most flimsy, ridiculous thing and then move on. That works for me.
And it's just a PR decision. Just like they said it had to go.
Right. Harrison Ford seemed good. He's definitely into that age where I get nervous. I get nervous watching him on screen. Like, he wasn't in the newer Star Wars all that much, but like in those, especially knowing he fell and like broke a hip or something during the shoots, like,
Oh yeah.
I get nervous. Like once they hit a certain age, I'm like, oh man, like their voice starts to go. I wonder if they did some voice processing or something on him here because his voice sounded good, sounded strong. Maybe that's just his voice. He
Really
doesn't
good.
have the shaky old voice, but
Like I almost like him better now than I ever did.
yeah,
Because he's on. I know you guys don't have Apple TV, but at some point, if you ever get the gumption to like there's a number of shows that you want to watch and you
Uh-huh.
get it. Shrinking he is so good in Shrinking. Like he makes me feel feelings, and that's not ever been a thing that I'm like, who really just tugs at my heartstrings.
right,
Harrison Ford. He
right.
just gets me. But like he has like Parkinson in his character does in that, and he's just this crotchety old narcissist of a psychologist.
Interesting.
But like as the seasons go on, you just like, well, there's only been 2 seasons. You slowly get to see the cracks and like how he's like trying to deal with family and friendships and being this really successful psychologist. Like his career is his whole thing, and he's been kind of neglectful in his own family life and whatnot, and how actually through the disease he's like, and it's just like a subplot. It's just a character plot for him. It doesn't necessarily I mean, it matters to the show, but it's not like the idea of the show, I guess. But he's so good. He's so good in it. There's like a episode where he gets totally stoned and he's just talking crap. There's just so many good Harrison Ford moments in it. And I'm seeing more and more of that from Harrison Ford now. So like I appreciate the roles that he's taking on
Interesting.
at this point in his life.
Well, good. Yeah. What else about this? Any I guess final thoughts on Captain America, Brave New World.
This is more than I thought we'd talk about.
No, I guess not for now.
Also, what do you think? What's the decision to make like Japan the other superpower that's competing with us for this adamantium? I thought that was a weird
That
choice.
is weird. Yeah.
Because I feel like in reality it wouldn't be Japan.
Well, maybe that's why
I was gonna say,
yeah.
Instead of China.
They're shying away from, they can't pit the US against China. That's what it is. Because I was like, this seems like the perfect opportunity to shoehorn some China crap in because they famously have done that in movies to be more
I don't
appealing.
think Hollywood wants to do that because
I think you're
China's big money in terms of like film industry and whatnot.
Right. Like tradition, like there's scenes in one of the Iron Man movies or something of him in China shot to like be like, oh, hey, we love China.
Right. Yeah.
To appeal to that market. But the fact that at a certain point in this, the US and Japan are about to go to war, maybe that's why they opted for not China.
Yeah. Yes, because when I think of like who's got the best Air Force, it's Japan.
I could be wrong. I just feel like they're not a big country. They're pretty small.
No.
Not to say they're not significant, but I thought that was a weird decision.
Like, isn't most of their military like we are a big part of the Japanese military because of World War II?
Right. Yeah. We definitely were at various points.
Mhm.
Um, but okay, that's fine. Yeah. But then again, this is not the real world. This is the MCU post like Thanos snap and all that. The
Yeah.
whole economics of the world probably totally different.
It is interesting. I mean, like they didn't like make Thaddeus Ross as like an analog for Trump, but they kind of did at the same time. It's like it's one of those things where it's like, but the Sokovia Accords, sir, and he's like, yeah, but I'm the president now.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's true. They didn't push that. I kind of expected them to push that a little harder. Big red rage machine in the White House. But
Right.
yeah. Okay.
Main difference being they made him likable.
Yeah. Right.
He's not a one note character like
He-
some actual living people.
He's not totally one note. He had some redeeming qualities.
Yeah.
And his daddy-daughter relationship didn't give a gross vibe to it.
No.
It was
Felt
just
like
kind
an
of
actual father.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And he cared.
Albeit absentee, still a father.
Right. The anticlimactic. It definitely was like anticlimactic. Like the spectacle wasn't as spectacular as maybe it could have been. Anyway, hey, let's talk about something else.
Okay.
Let's talk about Doctor Who. I don't have a good segue. I'm just bluntly hammering it in there. So we had talked about Wish World, right? We had talked about everything up to the finale.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, where to even start with all this?
The Doctor is falling. And you think he's gonna die. But then they Groundhog Day it.
It's Deus Ex Time Hotel.
Oh yeah. Yeah, but they were gonna Groundhog Day it anyways.
Oh,
that's
you're
what
right. You're right. Yeah, that did everything with the city falling into the ground or whatever. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot all about that. I will say, this is one of those for me. I think I have an unpopular opinion overall of this episode compared to others that I've seen everywhere. This is definitely like everything falls apart when I think about it. Everything falls apart when I think about it. In the moment, I didn't hate this episode. I kind of liked some of it. I liked a lot. And
there's a lot of fan service in this episode.
Right.
And it was really fun. And yes, it is just cobbled together with staples and paper clips and lots of Scotch tape.
And wishes.
Right.
And wishes. Yeah.
Okay. What did you guys? I don't care who wants to start, but what did you guys think of this? What are your overall impressions or whatever?
I thought it was crap.
You thought it was crap?
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought it was crap.
I
thought from the first episode, or not first episode, first half of the thing.
Right.
But
Wish World into this.
Like
the
plot.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's very RTD to have like a complete Deus Machina. Yeah, that's how you say it. It's so him to have just like this, like it grants wishes. It's a baby, that kind of thing. Like literally, it grants wishes. That's like that's like the master making the TARDIS a paradox machine and basically bringing the end of the universe, the Troclophane or whatever, and just taking over everything ever. Yeah, it had that vibe to it. And I'm still iffy on what the plan even was. What were they gonna do with Omega? Just bring back the Time Lords?
So there's that really awkward exposition dump where the Ronnie shows up in unit headquarters. Nobody points a gun at her, despite the doctor
Right.
being like, and here it is. There's the villain. It's the Ronnie. She's doing all of this. And everybody's just like,
Yeah.
huh. And then gives them time to like stand there and exposition dump a whole bunch of stuff, which is actually a little confusing because anyway, so the plan, which the Ronnie did not do, was to do all this to bring back Omega or get access to Omega, to use his, to use his DNA to restart the Time Lord race.
Mhm.
Instead, she's just like, once they actually get to that point, just like, you want to open it up and check it out? The doctor's like, yeah. And then they open the vault and just let him crawl out this big monster because every 70s or old school villain that RTD's bringing back since this new RTD era has to be like, they were just a dude in a mask, but now they got to be a big
Right.
CGI monster, which is a weird decision. Right. It's maybe a weirder decision with Sutek, but it's still a weird decision to do with Omega.
Yeah.
Well, like at least with Sutek is based on an Egyptian god,
right?
Yeah.
Right? Like Omega, yeah, he wants to be a god, and so they just keep leaning into that whole god thing, you know, that they've been doing since RTD got back. Whereas, like, yeah, but Omega wasn't a god; he was just a dude with delusions of grandeur, that was stuck in the Matrix and just like ineffective in every way, shape, and form.
Well, it's because he was in not reality fantasy land and he became a mad god because he wanted to be a mad god. I'm just like, but why does that make him a big weird skull face man?
Yeah. And if they regardless of what he is, if they were going to do their plan, or she was going to do her plan, I should say, they should have been standing there with like sledgehammers and chainsaws because they need his parts to reconstitute to make new Time Lords, which is a gross, horrible kind of way to reproduce, by the way, but that's what it says in the lore.
Oh, right.
Well, and every other time that we've dealt with Omega, it's been like Talkie McTalkerfest, right?
Yeah.
It's like, what, the Ronnie came in and just didn't talk to anyone. Like, she didn't talk this through with Omega? Like Omega, she didn't have some pact with Omega. She didn't have anything to line this all up. That is the least Ronnie thing I can think of. Like, the Ronnie is all about planning. It's the one thing that really sets the Ronnie and the Master apart, is that the Master will do it to just sow chaos, and the Ronnie always has a reason, and the reason is usually pretty ironclad. Yes, she is willing to do some chaos to see what happens, like the scientific method, but usually she's got an end game.
Yeah, there's a lot of messiness. I appreciate, but also it's so stupid where she was like, well, I know how to stop you. And then she just gets eaten. Like, he just grabs her and eats her. And it's like, that's both funny. Like, I appreciate it. Like, she's like, whoa, in the middle of talking. And then he just eats her. But also, like, so dumb. Like, what are you doing?
And then we get now we get to keep the Ronnie we all were so excited to keep.
It is a weird decision
Mrs. Flood.
Kill off the newer incarnation of the Ronnie and keep Miss Flood. That's a pretty weird decision.
Yeah. I don't even know how you big finish that. like she had no time to have adventures. Good luck figuring that one out, Big Finish. Mrs. Flood, you can do all you want with her, but like the new Ronnie,
Well, who knows what she was doing when she was off on her scooter. You know.
Big
This
Finish
is
still.
the narrowest. Yeah, this is the narrowest amount of time that they've ever been able to work with ever.
It's kind of like the comics. Like the comics, I feel like does the Big Finish thing, but to an absurd point at times, where it's like, well, in this one episode, when the doctor or this companion started walking down the hallway here, between getting to the end of the hallway, got sucked into this side portal and had this whole other adventure, and they never mentioned it, but it happened.
Yeah,
They'll go to pretty absurd lengths.
They 5 doctored it. They were like, oh, the 4th Doctor's in a time loop that happened from a deleted scene of the Shada.
Right.
Or like somebody goes with the doctor and then returns home, and they have a baby that they've had for years. That's a little, odd.
That was never referenced, and they just gaslighted us. They gaslighted us with that whole plot line because they were like, she never said she had to get home for her baby.
Mm-hmm.
They were just like retconning it in the moment where it was like, I always had a baby. I always did. It's just my baby.
I think, okay. Most of this episode, I was like, okay, it's fine. And the ending is a problem, but and I didn't really jive on the like, no, the baby's real anyway. Like I didn't, it's like, no, it was just, again, it's one of those, I don't hate it. I didn't hate it. It does fall apart in every conceivable way when you try to analyze it.
Yeah.
And as unhappy
why
as
did she disappear at all then? Why did she disappear at all? And why didn't Belinda remember her at all, even after she disappeared? Because that baby still should have existed, but now it's just for no apparent reason, there's now a universe where the baby never existed.
It's because somebody thought of that, folding up the thing until it was gone, and they were like, that's cool, let's do that. And then afterward, they were like, okay, now how do we get it back?
I think that was cool and also didn't make any sense in hindsight.
Right?
I love that part, though. That, honestly,
is so good.
That one scene and how upset Ruby was about it, it's a little out of character that the doctor was gaslighting. Well, at that point, he wasn't intentionally gaslighting her, but the doctor was aggressively no, you got this wrong. It's why is he so aggressive about it? But that said, I love that scene. If RTD was gonna do this ridiculous, sorry, I'm just motioning with this now.
You just got a back scratcher. Just all right.
This is
scalp.
I speak
scalp
with this.
thing.
Some people speak with their hands. Right. I speak with this.
All right.
I need to not fidget with things while I'm on camera. I don't even remember what I was saying now.
You love that scene. If RTD wanted to...
Oh, the Pantheon stuff. Reality is malleable. Fairy tales. I wish he would have leaned more into the mind-bending, kind of surreal aspects. 73 Yards was great. It was kind of creepy in a weird, surreal way. And that's why I liked the scene where they're just passing this coat back and forth, folding it up smaller and smaller till the doctor's literally and they just don't remember.
Yeah.
I love that. I loved how upset Ruby was. But the problem is that then sets up what they ended up doing. And I'm not crazy about it because I think what the deal is the baby was born out of supposedly the doctor and Belinda's wish, except in retrospect, it's clear it was supposed to be the doctor and Ruby because Ruby encountered Poppy, that baby. She was one of the space babies with the doctor. But for whatever reason, they had to rewrite a bunch of stuff and Ruby was not going to continue on as the regular companion. I still don't know why that was a choice. And then I guess the idea is
because he's not going to continue on. I think if he was going to continue on, she was going to continue on. But if there's going to be a new doctor, then maybe she won't be the companion.
Well, but what if it's a great doctor? What if it's one of the best companions ever gets to be the Doctor, and then
We'll get there. We'll
Right.
get there. I knew you were gonna love that twist. I watched this before Melanie did, and then watched it again with Melanie, which normally I don't do, but I didn't want to get everything spoiled for me before.
I was gonna say we should talk about that because like they just don't care about spoilers anymore for Doctor Who. Like they were just spoiling everything. Like I knew that he was regenerating before I started, and when you know that, this episode feels like a regeneration episode. Like from the word go, you know what's going on because everybody starts showing up. There's a time hotel episode with that one character that he really connected with, and then Rose shows up because that's a person he knows. And then his love interest shows up on the TV and lets him, let him know about the tables last episode. Like that's got to happen because this is his last go at this, right? Like everybody shows up. What's her name? What's her name was in Wish World from season 1 that wound up being the harbinger of Sutek. She showed up. Everybody's there,
Right.
mm,
Well, so jumping back real quick, him shifting reality a little bit so that Poppy is real, but it not being a Wish baby anymore, it just being Belinda's baby. And I don't think it was a matter of them trying to be like, well, this was always her deal. I think it was like Belinda's deal. Like she was always trying to get home to Poppy. I think it's a matter of like in this reality, it was always her deal.
right.
It clearly wasn't her deal.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. So they did shift reality. Okay.
Yeah.
See, that wasn't totally clear to me. To me, it's kind of like, oh, he restored everything. And now.
No, it's like
Poppy
a different
is-
timeline. So
okay.
essentially, he just bounced out of the timeline where all that stuff went down and the baby disappeared anyway into this other timeline.
Yeah.
Or reality or whatever. It's a weird decision.
Mm-hmm. And so they can just like shoot out some of their regeneration power and hop into one of the other multiverse is.
Do you want Valyards? Because that's how you get Valyards.
Right. Okay, do we want to talk about... Okay, let's talk about the actual ending, the actual show, what happened, what we got. Spoilers also, but then again, if you're a Doctor Who fan and you're online at all, it was going to get spoiled for you anyway. I waited till I seen 2 spoilers before I was like... And this was like Saturday night. Before I was like...
Yeah.
No, I got to watch it. I can't wait any longer. And I'm glad I didn't because there was still stuff that I wasn't spoiled on. But there's definitely things, including the very final moments of the episode that would have been, it was still surprising, but would have been a bigger surprise had I not been spoiled. And I'm glad I didn't wait till Sunday because Sunday it was just all, it was a no holds barred. And it's just in the thumbnail on YouTube all over the place. Every article is just like straight up like Billy Piper, 16th Doctor. What's going on? It's like, oh, cool. I'm glad
So was the Jodie Whittaker thing spoiled for you?
I didn't know about the Jodie Whittaker thing.
Okay, that was a big surprise, and I was quite happy with that. Like that was a lot of fun. Yeah. I liked everything about that Doctor interaction, other than like it would have been nice to have her first cameo mean something other than it being like a time crash situation.
What did you think of the Jodie Whittaker cameo?
It was okay, I guess. I didn't really see why it happened. There didn't seem to be a reason for it. But, I mean, it was nice, I guess.
Okay.
And it'd be interesting to say that that's something that happens, like occasionally just one of you will come out and be like, hey, yeah, well, good luck, bye, and then leave,
Sure. Yeah, it was. I mean, we've said like I think, kind of got done dirty by poor writing.
Yeah.
By being,
Mhm.
God, I was so hopeful for this RTD era. By being written by Chibnall, or by the Chibnall era, is what like undermined her Doctor.
Right.
So any opportunity for her to do more doctory things, I'm all for. So I was surprised to see her. It was good.
Mhm. They should have kept her into RTD's run because we know that she can cry.
Right?
And
Oh yeah.
that's what like all of this has been. It's mostly. I mean, I think the Doctor cried like every episode.
He did tear up, I think, every episode. This season, every episode he did tear up.
Yeah.
Which is fine. He can be emotional. This Doctor got shortchanged too. Because I feel like we didn't really what was his deal? I think I don't remember who said it, or if maybe it was something I read, because I was on Reddit a bunch. I read a whole bunch of stuff this season while watching through it on Reddit. And somebody was like, or maybe Jesse said it, because on the one hand, he's supposed to be like, he was so happy and together because he was like, he was like the therapy doctor. Like he'd gone through he had bettered himself, or maybe it was because of the 14th Doctor was in a rough spot and took some time off, that the 15th Doctor got to be like more carefree. Like he's done the work. The 14th Doctor did the work, but also like, nah, he was super emotional in a like uncomfortable way. He clearly like did not have control of his emotions.
Yeah.
They tried to make him have like kind of a short fuse in a lot of situations where he'd quickly kind of go a little Time Lord victorious.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody was like, he is like the therapy doctor, but it's like when you just start therapy and you think you have a better grasp on your emotions than you actually do. Like he thinks he's there, but he's not really there.
Right.
And I like that, but it does feel like RTD wanted to maybe develop that, or maybe I just wanted RTD to develop the Doctor's arc more. He didn't seem like that he had a very like satisfying arc.
Maybe that's why he transformed into Billie Piper, because now she's got to go and help the other Doctor like work through his stuff because he loves her.
So this was, I feel like, not received by the majority of the fandom like maybe RTD had hoped it had been.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts when she popped up and was like, "Oh, hello"?
Mixed feelings.
Sure.
Initially like, oh wow, and then I immediately was like, gosh darn it, RTD, like, aren't any of your regenerations gonna be like normal at all? Like none of them have been normal at all. Like the first one was David Tennant. The second one was a bi-generation. The next one we saw was another bi-generation. And now we've got another fluky, weird regeneration, potentially. Maybe it'll be a legit regeneration. And I'm almost hoping for that. Like, if I will actually be more happy if this is just Billie Piper's face on the Doctor than if it's Rose in some weird thing, because they just refuse to put that's just RTD wanting to be mysterious again. He didn't put introducing Billie Piper as the Doctor.
Right. It was just introducing Billie Piper, which is weird, but
yeah.
Traditionally, when they do the new Doctor, it's introducing so-and-so as the Doctors, but
yeah,
to leave as the Doctor off, specifically after the credits of Schutte and Whittaker as the Doctor, they each got their as the Doctor credit. And I know it was Moffat era, but like even the War Doctor was and whatever as the Doctor.
Yeah.
So
I'm surprised that they don't have. I mean, I know it's happened at least once before. I'm surprised they don't have more often the doctor just be like, "This is somebody I saw and I like their face, so now it's mine." You know what I mean? Because that's like all I would do if I was a Time Lord.
I lost track of her name.
Romana.
She did that. She straight up did that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She had this baffling ability to like try out several faces before landing on one between a regeneration. In fact, I feel like she just did it on a whim, which is something that they don't really do.
Maybe she had more control over her like yellow glows, and was just like, "I'll just use a little bit just to see what it looks like."
Right. It's like Time Lord plastic surgery.
Yeah.
Like it's not a full regeneration.
Romana knew what she was up to. She was like,
she did.
She was like an A-class Time Lord.
Yeah.
Whereas the doctor, like, he couldn't be bothered. He had more important things to go do.
Man, I say it every time. This was also a discussion on Reddit talking about, I don't know, not about the specific stuff, but somebody was like, it was basically a like second Doctor and Jamie appreciation post. So of course I had to be like, oh yeah, one of my favorite duos along with Leela and the Fourth Doctor. And once again got me thinking about like, God, I wish they would make the companion interesting. It doesn't always have to be modern day audience surrogate, or you can have that, but also throw in a doctor or a companion from a more primitive time or a more advanced time or culture.
Yeah.
Or another Time Lord. Like, especially after like 20 years of like, I'm the last Time Lord. What if the next companion was also a Time Lord? That'd be pretty interesting.
It would be even better.
Right. We haven't done that since Romana.
Yeah.
Even better, the next companion should be a Dalek.
I mean, well, I was just thinking we need an alien. We haven't had an alien companion since what, Chameleon? And that was like a robot.
Right. They didn't roll with that very long.
No.
Which wasn't the Chameleon's like deal that he could turn into other things?
Yeah.
That would be the ideal thing, so that you could like still go to Earth every episode because it's cheap to shoot on Earth.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But so I don't know what the actual like fandom's general ideas are, or if you just see the most like, you know, the loud minority opinions.
Yeah,
like
the vocal minority.
The vocal minority. Yeah. Because seems like a whole lot of people hate the idea that first that it's like Billy Piper, but also that that Billy Piper would be the next Doctor. And I know it's so stupid, but I would kind of love it if she was just the next Doctor. Just do it. Just do it.
She should, because anything else will actually be way stupider.
It's gonna, but you know it's gonna be way stupider. It's gonna be some nonsense, or it's gonna be the moment returned, or like there's connections.
Bad Wolf because she stared into the heart of the TARDIS or something weird.
Right, and this regeneration started by the Doctor channeling a bunch of his energy into the heart of the TARDIS. So it makes sense. Like they have that out pretty easy. Or just be bold and double down. That's what I want. If you know what, if you've been stupid for 2 seasons, RTD, just go full stupid. Let's do it.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I mean, like what I see happening then is that they'll bring 14 back, and then when 14 and Rose interact, then that will be like a rejoining of the bigeneration, and that will trigger the actual regeneration. And this just gives them time to cast a new Doctor, because I feel like they didn't really know whether or not he was going to stay on for another season, and then they had to change a bunch of stuff on the fly, which it seems like there's a bunch of articles coming out that like there was a lot of rewrites on this, and that like Susan was supposed to play a bigger role in the finale, and that got scrapped.
So, yes, I've read a bunch about this, and there's been enough repeated material that, for one, it's all still like rumor, I think, or whatever, hearsay. So, and ultimately, what you saw is what the episode is. So I don't know if any of it's true, but there were reshoots in February. The going theory outside of Gatwa saying it was just time and his knees are bad or something, which is quite possible. He's a young guy, but you know what? Some people just have knee problems. Some people have back problems. Like, it doesn't matter the age. So that's plausible. That said, he was, as of like last year at some point, doing interviews saying he was in on the third season. They're going to start in January or whatever. And that clearly didn't.
Yeah.
That clearly fell through. Something happened. And the going theory of what happened is Disney was dragging their feet. And he's like, I can't commit to, like, if it's not, how do I, like, not being able to commit to it and turn down other projects without even knowing if Disney was going to renew and then the show was going to continue on, is the going theory. So he bailed, which meant they did reshoots in February then and changed the whole end of this episode to give him a regeneration. They clearly don't have a commitment for the next season, so they also then couldn't find another actor to commit to the role. It's probably like, well, call up Billy. We'll get Billy. She'll do something for us. That'll do whatever. We don't have to commit to another actor yet without being able to know if, like, we can actually utilize them. And the again, if this is wrong or misinformation, whatever, because ultimately what was in the episode is what we get. But the reoccurring thing that I keep seeing is, yeah, they succeed in whatever, the Ronnie and Omega and all that. The Doctor and Belinda are at a party because there was a screenshot released by Disney at some point of them like partying that wasn't in the episode. Susan would have appeared at the end of that, like watching from afar, and then like then left with Poppy, and the inference being Poppy was Susan's mother eventually, because timey-wimey stuff.
Oh, because they kind of like, they were kind of it seemed like they were kind of leaning in that direction when it was like, all timey-wimey, where it's like, oh, this is the Doctor's daughter.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, Poppy. That's the going theory, is that, or the rumors, is that Poppy was indeed the Doctor's daughter, therefore would have been Susan's mother, because Susan's the granddaughter.
Because Time Lords are now sterile.
That was another thing. Like, I was very confused about that the first time watch it through, and the second watch through, it still is unclear, because it sounded initially, I was like, wait, so were they always sterile, and that's just the regeneration is just how they've always like reproduced? And that kind of sounded like what the deal was, but I think more than that was, it also sounded like whatever the Master did that destroyed all the Time Lords was some type of like the genetic bomb or whatever that the Ronnie like dodged last second or something, changed her DNA. That's what made all the Time Lords sterile. But also, like, okay, you mean you two made you two sterile if you're the last two. Right.
Well, I tried to look it up online at some point. They were talking about they reproduced by looming, where they like braided together, or not braided, but whatever, 3 strands of DNA from different Time Lords. Which, I mean, so maybe they can reproduce, but only as a throuple. I don't know. But I'm assuming that's more like cloning than actual.
Yeah.
Having babies.
Yeah, that was that 7th Doctor era stuff.
I'm not even sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I was looking it up. I didn't remember it or anything. I was searching.
The other problem, and big surprise, Doctor Who's contradicting Doctor Who continuity. But the other problem is like, you never see Time Lord children, and it's like, yeah, that's not true though, because like Capaldi era,
the
there's
Time
a whole
Lord.
thing with him growing up in an orphanage, and even I think the first RTD era talked about the Doctor and the Master being kids together, and there was the whole sound
you
of the
saw it.
drones. Yeah,
You
so it's
saw
like
the child version of the Master staring into the void. Or the
and that's
vortex.
even
drove him
ignoring
mad.
the timeless child nonsense. Like there were Time Lord children.
Yeah, and didn't somebody marry a Time Lord and have a baby? Maybe not. Maybe I'm a crazy person.
Well, there's River Song, but
Right, River Song, who was a Time Lord born of two humans, but they were in the TARDIS near the time stream.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would have been a good like. This is the origin of Time Lords sort of type thing. If it didn't, already.
especially since Omega is supposed to be the first Time Lord.
Right.
So did they retcon Timeless Child? I don't understand what happened.
Yes and no. They kind of did. I don't know that they called. I'd have to watch them again. I don't know if I want to, but I don't know that they called Omega the first Time Lord, but they did say he discovered time travel or whatever. There's some caginess. I wouldn't hate if it undoes the Timeless Child.
Mm.
I mean, they're still going with the Doctor was an orphan, but that kind of was a. I'm not sure when that was established, but that like the Moffat era had that in there.
Right.
I just read a thing. It says, "Keep in mind that Doctor Who has no canon. No one in a position of creative or legal authority has ever laid down what is and isn't canon. And the two producers for the new Doctor Who have both said they don't think canon is possible."
Right. It's too far gone. And if you look it up online, they also tie in like the books and stuff, and it just gets messier and messier.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you start adding in Big Finish stuff as canon, and
yeah,
there can't be. It's just there's certain things that like the Timeless Child. The problem there is not that it messes with canon. It is that it messes with it messes with it too much, but it also fundamentally changes the Doctor's just kind of role in everything. I don't like Space Jesus Doctor, even though it's Space Jesus Doctor most of the time, but not literally Space Jesus Doctor. That said, I want Doctor Who to come back, and I want it to come back right now. I want to know what's going on with Billy Piper. I've been very hard on RTD, this new RTD era, but I don't want it canceled, and he can come back. That's fine.
Rose fixes everything.
Right.
RTD, like just bring her back. She fixes it. She single-handedly restored Doctor Who. She's the first companion.
It is an interesting decision to an interesting and conscious decision, I think. We didn't get Cybermen. We didn't really get Daleks. I mean, Daleks make an appearance in this, but it's kind of during flashback. Also, the Doctor's life is he's just got random companions and people and monsters just checking in on him constantly throughout his whole lifespan. It is an interesting decision to not do the classic villains, and I don't hate this idea, but that we've seen over and over and over. Sutek and Omega, even though I don't really like how they were interpreted, are weird polls to do. But if it's that or a new villain, what's it matter? Because they are callbacks, but I don't know. guess
they're like 1 or 2 shot callbacks, like Omega's only featured twice, and Sutek's only ever featured once.
right. And not doing Cybermen again, not doing Daleks again, like definitely seems like an intentional decision. For as much as RTD does like to call back to his own era and pull some weird old or classic series callbacks. Yeah, I don't know. Is he too self-referential?
What do you think about him being done already? I mean, like, I was just looking it up, and I think the 9th Doctor has 13 episodes. Well, 15 doesn't have that many more. Like,
right.
For having 2 seasons, these were short seasons.
Yes. Yeah, they were very short. Well, I think it's unfortunate. I think the guy that he flirted with and danced with in that one episode got a raw deal. I feel like he was probably meant to come back and maybe get saved instead of just like, nope, you're going to be sucked into hell dimension. That's where you're at now. That guy's screwed. Yeah, I really think Gatwa was meant to be on at least 3 seasons. And
written that way, right?
Yeah.
Like,
I think maybe RTD expected to have more time to work through whatever he was going to do with this Doctor. And I know 9th Doctor didn't get a lot, but like still kind of had an arc.
Felt like it was done.
Yeah.
Like when he regenerated, it didn't feel like it was shortchanged or anything. It felt like, oh, okay. Yeah, he's not coming back next season, so we got to make this count.
And the International Song Contest, once again, showing the Doctor having kind of a mean streak and Susan popping up in there, like, seems especially messy given that really none of that went anywhere.
Nope, none of that paid off.
And Belinda's kind of worse than Martha at this point. Like, it just seems like a wasted potential. And to be honest, it's not even necessarily like how they ended the season for her. It's like, although I hate Tegan, I know, but I did like the idea of a companion who was like a Donna situation for at least that one episode where it's like, what am I doing here? I don't want to be here. Get me out of here. And then the Doctor just can't take them home for whatever reason. Like, that's an interesting dynamic. But even by the time they hit that cartoon episode, she had dropped that. She's like, I totally get it. I'm on board.
Yeah.
So I don't know. She kind of ends up being a very shallow mess of a character too.
Mm-hmm.
And Ruby.
At least she wasn't like some kind of pivotal flux moment or something.
One thing that I seen discussed that got me thinking, because I think it was Wishworld maybe specifically, Ruby's mom, not the nonsense with her real mom or whatever, but her adopted mom. I feel like, I don't know, they showed her mom in such a negative light, maybe 1 or 2 too many times, to where I think it undercuts that character. As people were talking about how there were 73 yards, and some people really didn't like that Ruby, like, people are like, Ruby's mom was the one that shouldn't have, like, got freaked out and ran off or abandoned Ruby or whatever in 73 yards, right? But I always like that because it's like, whatever this whispering old version of her is saying to people is so terrible, even Ruby's mother is disgusted with her and never speaks to her again. I like that, but the problem is that is undercut when you see that in the alternate reality where she doesn't raise Ruby, she's really kind of a horrible person. Mm-hmm. And then in Wishworld, in the alternate reality of Wishworld, she turns Ruby in on a dime for having doubts. she's a horrible person. I don't think she's a good character. I don't think the show meant for it to be
Right.
that way, but it's just showed too many times where if there's anything slight, we never go back to Ruby after the doctor changes reality. For all we know, her life is terrible now, and her adoptive mom's a horrible old bag again.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. She's just fostering kids for money or something. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
And just that decision to like, the implication was that she fostered a whole lot of, like, it wasn't just Ruby. She's fostered lots of kids.
Oh, yeah.
But in that one reality where she didn't foster Ruby, she's a horrible person, which infers that like her natural state is to be a horrible person and just foster these kids for whatever.
Right.
And for whatever reason, it's just Ruby that made her kind of good in that one reality. Right. That's a total aside, but
maybe that's the whole thing. Since they took over, they had to make her take Ruby so that when they gave her some magic wish baby, she wasn't evil and destroyed everything.
Right. That's the other thing. That's the other rumor or theory, is that Ruby was supposed to be the wish baby. The wish baby was supposed to be Ruby, which would have explained a lot of things that just didn't end up making sense in season 1.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know if any of that's true, but if it's true, it could be a case of like Ruby, for whatever reason, should have been signed on for 2 seasons. She was obviously around for 2 seasons, but didn't want to or couldn't commit to full-time second season companion shooting. So maybe they had to rewrite the end of the first season, which kind of put
this
them.
Just buys. This also just kind of feeds to your theory that that RTD just doesn't care.
There's too many,
this
like,
all makes sense. Like, he's like, I don't care if it makes sense at the end.
He's like, yeah, whatever. Yeah, too much hand wavy. Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's like, yeah, people were like, well, what about this plot hole? And he's like, oh, yeah, we explained that in a scene, but the scene was boring, so I cut it. It's like, well, but if it's okay,
it's fantasy space crap. Have fun.
Or him being like, well, we did the thing where the TARDIS could just teleport you from anywhere. You don't even have to be in the TARDIS. I hope we shouldn't have done that, and I hope that doesn't come up again. But we did it. It's like, well, then just don't do it. What are you talking about? You shouldn't have done that.
Right.
Yeah.
Little things like that where it's like, dude, you clearly don't care. Also, I hope this new reality, gravity's back to gravity.
Right.
Not Mavity.
Hopefully it's not Mavity anymore. Mavity's done. It was a funny running gag a few times, but then it overstayed its welcome big time.
Played out. That said, I don't want the show canceled. I don't want it to go
No,
away.
please don't cancel it. Yeah, no, I want Disney to re-up it because I want people to see this show. But also, if not being on Disney means it's going to be a little more grounded, I'd be okay with that too.
Right.
Because it's really off the rails in terms of not being grounded anymore.
Yeah. And I guess that is kind of the point with like the Pantheon and all that. But I didn't care for that. And I really wish they would not try to do viral TikTok moments constantly. Because there's so many, just the premises of some of the episodes were like, you're just trying to singing goblin airship songs, and like you're just trying to manufacture viral moments.
Did any of that pan out either? Like, I mean, to your own detriment, I don't think that any of that really took off online.
Right.
I didn't see it.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Their most viral moments have been stills, spoiler stills.
Yeah, it's true. It is funny because we will dump on the show endlessly, but we love it because after this last episode, when I seen everyone's dumping on it, especially like on Reddit, and it's not the usual just toxic crowd, it's just everyone was dumping on it. I started to get defensive, like, well, it's not that bad. Come on, guys. So,
Yeah.
I'm gonna dump on it.
Give it a week. Give it a week, and then we'll come to our senses a little bit.
I've already seen multiple posts of like, do you think the recent series is going to make people view the Chibnall era in a different light? And it's like, no, it's not.
No, come on.
Yeah.
The show being bad doesn't necessarily mean like everybody's gonna be like, you know what, that other bad era was actually pretty good. No, it was still
Oh yeah,
bad.
yeah. That's like you know who's not such a bad guy anymore? W.
Dude, that's actually like, I mean, that's extreme, but that is super apt. Super apt.
Yeah.
Because yeah, he's not the worst anymore. Doesn't mean he wasn't the worst at some point. Like, it doesn't mean he wasn't
was
terrible.
bad.
Yeah.
I remember thinking like, it can't get worse.
I have.
They can't find dumber or more corrupt than this guy.
Yeah, I bought a
You're
shirt back then that my niece wears now, and I'm like, nobody's gonna get this except your teachers. But sure, go ahead and wear it. But it's got a picture of him on there, and it says, "I bet you'll vote this time, hippie."
Right.
And I was like, yeah, but she still wears it, and I love it.
But yeah, no, that's apt. Like, yeah, whatever. There will be the people like, the Chibnall era was the best. Eventually it'll happen.
Oh yeah, we'll get our Phantom Menace.
Exactly.
Our Phantom Menace
Exactly.
crew, you know.
Yeah.
will.
You'll get the kids that grew up on Phantom, or the Space Jam resurgence. It's like, that was never a good movie.
Oh no, that
never a good
was
movie.
always the worst of the Looney Tune properties. Are you kidding me?
Phantom Menace is a good example.
It's amazing.
You know what else is amazing?
What?
Women. And life.
Women and life.
And
they can make one of those. They can make that too.
That's what they do. There's a whole thing, but I'm not
That's what they
talk
do
about it right now. But I'll just say that part of the thing that I was thinking of says that the only purpose for men is to carry women's DNA back and forth to each other. But that's besides the point. So anyway, so metformin is a diabetes drug, the type 2 diabetes drug. It's been around for a long time. And at some point they noticed that women that take it seem to live a little longer. And they can't really count this study right now as like definitive proof or anything, because it wasn't a study specifically about this. So they didn't have like a placebo group or anything, but they did have like follow-up studies that they were working on with postmenopausal women that were on either metformin or this other drug, and 438 women, which is not really a whole lot, but still. Those in the metformin group were calculated to have a 30% lower risk of dying before the age of 90 than those in the other group. So that's a pretty good indication that this helps extend your life. But they have more studies have to be done. That's how they always do. But I thought that was kind of amazing. I don't know if they're going to do any more, because they never want to do anything unless they're going to make money off of it. And this is an old drug. It's been around for decades, so they probably won't be able to make money off of it. So the odds are that there won't be any. But just know, if you get type 2 diabetes and you're a woman, go for the metformin, opt in that direction. That's probably a good idea.
Science indicates.
Yes.
We can't officially endorse.
Yeah, we're not.
We don't know.
We're not affiliated with them. I'm just...
Grawlix approved. Our newest sponsor, metformin. Keep your blood sugar low and your death rate high. No, life rate high.
Your life expectancy high.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your death rate high.
You got it.
That is amazing, Melanie. Thank you.
Yep.
And women are amazing.
Yes.
Ladies, insulate your life without insulin.
Insulate your life.
Yeah, especially if you decided to get married because married women live shorter lives than single women because men suck our life away.
Yeah. All the single ladies.
Give me your life force. What if you marry multiple women?
You're gonna live forever, man.
Cool. Anyway. All right. Well, hey. This was a show. We kind of went long. I'm sorry, Jesse. Although I know
that's all right.
It's not like 11:30 at night or something like it might be if we were.
No, it's not like I'm losing sleep over this one.
Right.
So.
Cool. Well, hey, Jesse, you got anything exciting you want to mention before we bounce out of here?
What's interesting that today is not Thursday, so it can't get bent. But you know what is kind of like a bend? Hump day.
You're right.
That's all I got. Welcome to Hump Day, people.
Tonight, Melanie and I are going to go to the movies.
Oh boy, what you seeing?
We're gonna see Dan to Dan Evil Eye, which is basically
anime.
Yeah, we're gonna go see anime. I didn't even know it was a thing until yesterday, and I was like, "Oh, that'd actually be super fun." Because Dan to Dan's wild. Like, it's got a wild visual style. It always has like crazy actiony bits, super stylistic. So I was like, that'd actually be super cool to see in a theater. But they're doing the thing. I've seen other anime do it before, where it's basically they're cutting together like the season finale from season 1 and the first like 3 episodes from season 2 into kind of a feature. So on the one, so you get like a kind of a preview basically of a good chunk of the next season, because season 2 starts next month, I believe. So
gotcha.
I was like, ooh, yeah, let's watch that. And I was gonna try to pull off a thing where I wasn't gonna tell Melanie what it was at all. I was like, you want to go to the movies tomorrow? And she's like, see what? And I was like, you'll see.
Nothing.
Nothing. And I wanted to surprise her because
right.
I feel like it's something that she wasn't on her radar that she would actually be surprised about. But I was not going to keep that secret for 24 hours. That's crazy.
It is.
Just wasn't going to work. But yeah, so that's what we're doing tonight. I'm kind of excited for that. That'll be fun.
That will be fun. Awesome.
Otherwise, that's it. Friday the 13th, this Friday, I'll be streaming. Most likely I'll be streaming. I do have a Friday the 13th.
That sounds like that'll be a killer time to do Edge of the Abyss, huh?
Yep. Edge of the Abyss on Helix Rock Radio. It's rockradio.live, 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern. I'll be doing that
Is there
Friday.
such a thing as a slash metal?
Slasher. The only slash I can... I don't play Guns N' Roses on that show, so... That's the only slash I can think for sure.
Yeah.
I did do... I'm tempted to do a replay, though, because last year I did a Friday the 13th special in which I found a whole block of songs about Friday the 13th specifically. It's amazing.
Oh, wow.
It's amazing that there's enough where you could fill 2 hours with just multiple songs called Friday the 13th Part 2. Specifically Friday the 13th Part 2. Multiple songs with that title.
Wow. Yeah.
Yep. So I might replay that since it's Friday the 13th, but maybe I'll just do a live stream anyway. We'll see. Melanie, what about you? Anything exciting, interesting you want to mention? Oh, hey, I'm prepared.
Yeah,
I just realized.
There it is. Yeah.
No, nothing I can think of.
Cool. All right. That's been a show, everybody. Yeah. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, eat your lunch. Hope you had your lunch.
Yeah.
Do you doing a lunchbox? Yeah. It's interesting. Probably should have given a heads up like as soon as we decided yesterday. I probably should have made a post about this. Right. But I didn't. So here we are. All right. Thanks everybody. Have a great rest of your week.
Mhm.
Rest of
Yeah.
your workday, chumps.
Yeah, have fun tomorrow and get bent or whatever.
Yeah,
Have fun tomorrow
you
and get bent.
Could get that report on my desk by the end of the day. That'd be great.
It'd be
Yeah.
great. All right. Grawlixpodcast.com. Grawlix podcast.com.
Yep.
I was about to just hang up the call. That's not what I need to do. I need to stop streaming. All right. Bye, everybody.